Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to go through for a garden update and walk through and see how everything is doing. And right now we are in the orchard field. Let's see how these fruit trees are doing. All right, we're going to start off with the apricot tree. This apricot is, I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's brown either. So I'm going to leave it. I feel like it's going to grow out this next year with all the leaves and stuff. So I'm not going to cover that. So it's monsoon season, so a lot of the wind is basically tilting over my trees, so they all look kind of lopsided, especially with the netting on it. It just kind of blows everything over to the side. So cherry tree looking pretty good as far as like it growing and staying alive, and that's the only goal right now is for this to stay alive, and actually the goal for a lot of it. The apricot tree is doing really well. All the leaves are starting to grow back, and as you can see, it very densely deep in there, it's starting to grow back, and pretty happy about that. Same goes for the apple tree as well. It looks really good. Everything's starting to grow back. I think some grasshoppers did get in there, so as you can tell, some of it's still kind of eating on that backside. So happy these are coming back. And same with this cherry tree. I had to tie a knot at the top and the bottom because it tore, and I think the grasshoppers ate through the netting, and I killed like 5 big ones in there. So there's new growth, new branches. That's what I wanted. And so yes, doing great with these fruit trees. Same with the peach trees. They're doing really good on both of these. Everything's starting to grow back, and yeah, I mean, this one's still kind of struggling a little, not like it was in the beginning where it was like growing super huge, but I'm happy with that. Same with that apple tree. This apple tree did turn brown. So the apple tree that I planted here was basically from a rooting, like you just implanted, and it wasn't like the root ball, you just stuck it in there. So as you can see here, these little nodules that are kind of open like that, basically there was one grasshopper at every little nodule. So basically they were trying to eat it, and they were trying to just suck the fruit tree, so basically killing it. And it looks, I don't know if it might be alive, I don't know if it might be still growing, so I'm just gonna leave it, and then when spring rolls around, hopefully it'll start to grow. So yeah, guys, it is about midsummer way, and the heat is starting to die down. The grasshoppers are dying down. It's monsoon season here, and we are not getting any rain. Like when we do get rain, it's not that great. It just dampens the ground, and then the wind comes in and then basically dries everything up. So Four Corners here, definitely struggling with monsoon season and dealing with drought weather. And basically I'm okay with the fruit side. It's doing really well, but here we're going to jump over onto the garden side, and you'll see that I have some good things and bad things and things that I'm struggling with right now. So let's head over. Ooh, that sunset looks amazing. Ooh, that's like yeah, look at that. That is freaking awesome. This is amazing. This is like my favorite view here. Just seeing the views of the mountain. So yeah, anyways, but this is the garden. Let's check it out. Let's go. All right, there's the corn. It's growing, it's starting to tassel, and I'm struggling on the wind blowing and the pollen onto the tassels, and it's not, the kernels are not getting big. So that's what I'm having trouble with. And then that back end, I'm struggling on getting water to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the ground or just it's not fertile down on that end. It's just basically struggling. And I replanted a bunch of corn too, and I'll tell you here in a bit. This is chicken wire all the way down. I put it up thinking, it would block all of the wildlife out of the way. But it is so dry here that these jackrabbits are getting desperate. They are getting to the point where they're just ramming into the wires and try to crawl underneath, and basically they kind of devastated my cornfield again. So the jackrabbits got in to the cornfield, and all of these corn and squash were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, when I came back this week, it devastated they just mowed it down. And as you can tell, they took off a lot of the corn, the stems and stuff off of these ones too. So I think that's why it's kind of struggling to kind of grow a little bit taller. Yeah, and then on that back end, there's a bunch of them bitten off too. And I think that's why they're just kind of like dying off. They just kind of stopped trying. Again, green chilies are in the buckets. I have different types of peppers, and every time I get to the point where they get this tall and they start to flower and they start to form the chili pods, the grasshoppers would like take them. But since the grasshoppers are calming down, now the mice and the ground squirrels are just mowing the top of these. So I haven't had I only got like one green chili, and it's a struggle right now with the green chilies. It's just, it is what it is. And the same with the jalapenos is just, I'm just struggling super bad with just trying to keep these and trying to get the chilies to grow. Cherry tomatoes are doing really well. They're starting to ripen. I got a whole little bowl of tomatoes yesterday, and I couldn't find any tomatoes again, so I wound up just planting some more squash and corn in this section in between, so hopefully that will grow. And as you can see, Better Boy tomatoes, they are starting to fruit and stuff, so which is a cool thing. I'm happy. Took me all summer. I could have probably had a big bush by now, but it's just not working. So here we have the Navajo squash, and then we have calabacite, and then we have summer squash, and some more Mexican squash and gray squash. And then I planted some patty pans down there, which are coming back out. And so, yeah, I think the temperature is dropping now. We're getting at least below 60, getting into the 50s now in the evenings. And so I don't know if that's why these guys are turning different colors, and my calabacites are dying back, which they didn't really produce anything. I did plant some more right here, but I think they grew out and the squirrels and the mice got to it. And then I've noticed that like a lot of the fruits and the veggies, they have like little bite marks and little scratch marks from the mice and the ground squirrels, which is kind of troublesome because they're trying to eat it, but they don't like it and they just kind of disturb it. So it's one of those things where it's like you kind of have to cut it off. Make sure you cook it really well and clean it really well. So still struggling with that. I set up these mouse traps and put some peanut butter on there, so they're at each water station, so there's 2 on them. And I winded up killing a mice, and I killed a squirrel last week. And so I think they're still getting in, so that now that they know that like to not approach that. And I believe there's a bird in here as well that keeps making its home right there, because I wound up catching a bird. Like I think it took off because a lot of its feathers were still on there. So I think that bird has hopefully learned its lessons, but I don't know. I think he's just trying to make, or she's trying to make her nest back there. So these patty pans, or the scallop squashes, are starting to come out. I think these might be scallop, or they might be the cucumbers. I'm not quite sure, but the squirrels left it alone. So I'm happy it's growing. But as I said, the jackrabbits broke through here, got underneath, and then basically mowed all the corn down. So these were growing out really nicely, and all of a sudden this week I came back and they were all gone like this. So frustrating. So, and then I winded up planting more corn down right in here just because it starts leaking out, and so I should have more corn in that area. Last week I came back. The week before, I had planted a bunch of melons and a bunch of different types of melons, and basically I just planted melons again. I replanted, so this would be like my 4th time replanting this, but the one like 2 weeks ago I replanted them. They were growing great, and then the squirrels last week mowed it all down again, and that was my tipping point, hence why I took out the mouse traps, and it winded up catching 2. So good thing and bad thing, but at the same time it's like I want something to grow when I'm putting a lot of my work into this. So I replanted it again, and then I planted some corn again, and then I winded up planting some more corn right in here because this leaks out a lot, and then I just planted some more. So hopefully this is more. And I think the squirrels or the rabbit got into this section right here because I don't really see anything growing. So Hopi melon and the Navajo watermelon, I don't know if it did come out and then the squirrel got to it before I could see it growing out, but I'm not quite sure if those were dud seeds, like they just didn't grow or they just didn't produce anything. So I think I'm just gonna leave it again and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, and then the same thing on the other side. The jackrabbit kind of mowed it down on that side. So all of these corn were growing really good. As you can tell, they are super tall and super long, but again, the jackrabbits came in and mowed everything down in the middle and in right here. So yeah, and then I have my plum tree, which is struggling right now because a couple weeks ago those grasshoppers just started migrating over here, and then they took out the tree again. And the winds have been so bad from like the hurricane winds, basically blew my tree over, and I don't know if it's going to make it. So I ended up strapping it down with some wire to this post and that fence post out there. And then the nectarine tree bush is doing really well now, and the leaves are starting to grow back, and again the grasshoppers are dying back. So I planted some Navajo globe willow trees, and the grasshoppers, man, they just went after it and they killed it. And so I basically have dead trees on there, and it didn't get a chance to like take off and bloom. That one was getting really good at blooming down there, and it was growing so well. It started getting some height in it, and then all of a sudden it just died. All the trees, all the leaves were gone, and the grasshoppers were out. Blueberry stopped growing, it died because the grasshoppers got to it. This is an empty spot. It was for a plant or a tree, but what I'm thinking of doing is probably putting my lime tree and my lemon tree here, and this would be kind of late fall, or maybe like when fall starts, and then I'll put them in there, and then we'll see if they make it through the winter here in the high desert. This grape is doing really well. Yeah, it's just growing really well. So I need to figure out how to like trellis it, because I want to trellis it that way and then this way as well. Grapes, I don't know if they died off, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna see if they do kind of bounce back in the fall or next year. If not, I'm just gonna pull it out. But basically what I want to do is I want to plant some more fruit trees down this way, just so that way I can keep an eye on it a little bit more better compared to over there. I think that's too far, but here it's pretty dry and the ground is pretty hard, but over there the ground is super soft and it has all that nutrients from all the trees and stuff. So yeah, so this is my next plan. As soon as the garden starts to die back, I'm gonna start fixing this part up and building more of a fruit tree line up here. And then I want to put some more that way, but I think I want to do more regular trees on that side. So guys, that's my garden. I would like to plant more like fall stuff, but judging by how dry it is here and how badly I'm struggling with the rabbits and the squirrels and the mice and the rodents that are around here, I'm not going to chance it. I am just going to replant. I know it's a little bit late for a lot of the corn and the squash to regrow, but that seems to be ones that they're not really bothering. I just need to get to the past like a mid stage where they don't like the flavor of it. So yeah, struggles here in the high desert growing stuff, especially I'm only here like maybe on the weekends and hauling water on the weekends, just making sure these survive. And don't get me wrong, we did have quite a lot of squash this year, and I'm grateful because last year I struggled with squash. They just kept dying off, and I just kept replanting them, and it just wasn't working. So I'm glad the squash made it this year. The corn is a little bit struggling this year, mostly because of the rodents and the rabbits and stuff. So we're about midway through summer, and I just replanted some of these stuff, and hopefully it works out. I'm trying everything. If you have any ideas of how to get these rabbits to not eat or get into the fencing, because this is chicken wire fencing, and today I had to like push the chicken wire down a little bit further, kind of put it in the dirt, and then I started like digging the dirt on there. So yeah, I made it lower so that way they can not crawl under again. Granted, I already did that, and they just figured it out for, yeah, they were getting smart on me. They were getting smart and desperate on me. So yeah. So guys, that was just a little update on my little garden here in the high desert. If you like that stuff, leave a comment, like, subscribe. If you have any suggestions on the fencing, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Again, thanks guys. And this sunset is really amazing. So look at that. All right, guys. Until next time, I'll go on it.